So the inquiry-based learning, I find it easier to define. So that's when you give more ownership to the students, and they might have a problem that they're able to then go out and find the answers for themselves, or especially if they can even answer the question themselves. So you're giving them the chance to inquire and find out things that you may not even have thought of could be the answers. It's up to them. And then the socio-scientific bit is in getting those students to link that into their lives and seeing how the science is affecting their social life as well, and start seeing what they learn as affecting their life, instead of thinking what they learn at school is separate to what they do in their life. I think a lot of us actually need to think about it ourselves and think, oh, how does this affect me? Because I think you become quite tunnelled with, right, they need to know this. They don't need to worry about what if it affects them. They just need to know this. They need to do their exam. Whereas if you can change that way of thinking and think, actually, you need to know this because it's relevant to you, it's relevant to me as well. And you could maybe walk through your thinking of that with them. Like, this affects me because of this, but it could be different for you, and it's fine for it to be different for you. Then I think that could work. I really enjoyed the lessons, and it made me stop and think a few times when I was asking them or designing a task like the writing one. It made me stop and think, if I was in this, what would I write? And maybe actually it would be good for them to model what you were thinking and what you would do. And it was very important to make it clear to them that it's an opinion, it's not right or wrong. But I think kids are very used to these days being like, right, this is right or it's wrong. But sometimes there isn't a right or wrong, and they need to be able to just have the skills to go through and come up with their own answers. So I think that's a nice impact on me as well, to be designing these tasks and go, how would I do this? How would I answer this? And also I think it's taught me the types of questions to be asking when I'm circulating, because it's the first time I'd done anything like this. The first lesson was a bit like a rabbit in headlights, but I don't know what I should do, what I should be asking. But after going through their work as well, I can see where the gaps were that I needed to stitch across for them. I think it's seeing where you can use it sometimes. So, because I said it, we're not really used to thinking like this ourselves. So, seeing where you can make it link to their lives is maybe an area that if we haven't got that as teachers, then the kids are never going to come up with it themselves. So we're the ones who need to know, I'm teaching this topic. This links in nicely with what's happening in that city down the road, or something like that. Yeah. Or instead of, for example, with the global warming one, I think I made the mistake of saying, like, what could we do to make it better? But all the kids immediately go, well, if we do this, we'll stop the ice caps from melting. That's great, but how would the ice caps melting affect you here in Southampton, or you here in America, or whatever? Then can they talk about how it might affect, I don't know, if it rise, would we lose Cornwall? That might be, and then I lose where I go on holiday or something. Then that's a bit better, but I think it's seeing how you can make it really close to home, instead of just, this happened in Russia, this happened. I think the way I did it, they definitely developed their teamwork skills. Their communication, how they communicate science, because they had to be able to take something quite complicated in some groups and put it into more common speak for their peers, which was quite good. And also they had to learn what's important, what's not, and also what sites are, what's the word I'm looking for? Reliable, or they could use, because sometimes they'd find a fact and tell me, and I'd be like, where have you got that from? So I helped them a little bit by giving them those fact sheets. I got them from The Guardian, but then if they were a higher ability group or an older year group, like year 10, maybe we start saying, why can I not just use those facts? And start saying, well, that's from one place, but they're in year 8, so I don't think we're quite there yet, but you could definitely take it like into that type of skills and thinking about sources with older year groups. I think it's to always look for the opportunities to bring it in. It doesn't have to be a whole week of lessons like this was, which took me a lot of time. I think even if you can just get 10 minutes or 15 minutes to just have that reflection time, maybe if it's a socio-scientific area, where you can get them to think about how it's affecting them, what they could do to make a change. And also, it sounds silly, but to keep an eye on what's happening in the local area where the students come from, because if I'm going to be working in Bournemouth, but if something happened around there that I could link in, then I think the kids are more likely to realise it is affecting their lives, because for them it's right there and they can relate to it. So it's keeping an eye on that and trying to see where you can link in things, and also the idea that the teacher doesn't have to know everything and they can have ownership. It's quite scary, because especially when you're starting, because you feel like, no, I'm the teacher, I should know things, but actually not knowing them and letting them have the freedom to do their inquiry, like this one where I didn't know what they were going to ask and what they were going to come up with, made for some of the best lessons actually, and I learned stuff too, which was great. So I think looking for the opportunities to fit it in, and also where the socio-scientific links are specific to the school, specific to the students, and then also trying to build in round the curriculum demands the chance for them to ask their own questions and find them out, which would be nice.